I want you to look at my husband in the eyes and tell him that he is waste, fraud, and abuse. Last year, my husband received a diagnosis that was devastating of Parkinson's, and we were trying to come to reconciliation with that. And so he applied for disability. And in the process, we received notification at the beginning of this year that he was denied. And it's come to obvious because we are in this black hole with Trump and his Doge crew that have gone in and dismantled the Social Security Administration. We're not sure how this is going to look, and it's impacting our family financially because we no longer have my husband's income. The second shoe to drop has to do with Parkinson's research. And my husband was hoping to get into clinical trials, which have now stopped because of Trump and the Doge boys and what they've been doing to all our agencies. So I get incensed and insulted when I hear Trump and his administrators talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, because I want you to look at my husband in the eyes and tell him that he is waste, fraud, and abuse. Because I can tell you with 100% certainty, he would rather be working full-time in his job than having a diagnosis for a disease for which there is no cure.
The Trump administration is moving to cut disability benefits for 400,000 Americans with Down syndrome, autism, dementia, severe mental illness, and other disabilities to save $2 billion a year. We found out this week the Iran war has cost $25 billion in 8 weeks. They're asking for $1.5 trillion in defense spending next year. And when you factor in gas prices and grocery inflation from a war that's blockading oil through the Strait of Hormuz, the real cost to every American family is far higher. But yeah, the people with Down syndrome living at home with their families, those are the ones who need to tighten their belts. ProPublica broke this story and it's being buried. The Trump administration wants to change how SSI benefits are calculated. SSI being the program for people who can't work because of severe disabilities. Fewer than a third of applicants are approved. Recipients average $994 a month. To qualify, you can't have more than $2,000 in assets. These aren't people gaming anything. These are people who have spent years fighting just to get approved. The average process takes 2 years. The proposed rule targets disabled adults who live at home with their families instead of in institutions. If your family also receives food stamps, the administration wants to count your bedroom as income and cut your monthly benefit by $300 to $330, or eliminate it entirely. The justification? Russell Vaught and Doge want to undo anything Biden touched. Conservative think tanks claim this saves $2 billion a year. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities points out that the entire annual savings from these cuts wouldn't cover a single day of the cost of the tax cuts for the wealthy Republicans just passed. One day. But sure, the problem's the bedroom. ProPublica talked to real families. Opal Foster's 18-year-old son Jeremiah has Down syndrome. He lives at home and is trying to become a chef. Under this rule, his benefits could be cut because his family needs food stamps. Cutting his SSI saves taxpayers $11 a day. If that forces his family to place him in a residential facility, the cost to taxpayers jumps to hundreds of dollars a day. Disability advocates, faith leaders, and budget experts all agree this makes it more expensive. It doesn't matter. They're doing it anyway. Trump promised not to cut Social Security. SSI is administered by the Social Security Administration. When you point that out, the White House says, the disability programs are technically separate from retirement benefits. Meaning when Trump said he wouldn't cut Social Security, he apparently only meant the retirement checks, not the checks going to people with disabilities. That's the kind of distinction only Ebenezer Scrooge would make, or in this case, Russell Vaught. $25 billion on a war nobody authorized in 8 weeks, $1.5 trillion in defense spending for next year, and $2 billion a year from people with disabilities living in their families' spare bedrooms. That's the math. That's who they think should sacrifice.
Hello guys, we are at it yet again. Trump has stopped disability checks for low-income earners in America. For those who are new here, consider hitting the subscribe icon below for more topics like the one discussing here right now. Share this video to fellow family and friends. Let them know that disability checks has been stopped and Trump is not giving a damn about anyone who voted in for him. It is something they were warned, but they didn't listen. It fell on deaf ears. Now that things are running out of fun, they are busy coming online and asking for help, as from the first video we have just watched. More than 400,000 Americans will be affected by these cuts, and it is not for the first time Trump is disappointing his supporters. MAGA voters and supporters are panicking, and we are going to see from the videos we are going to watch. Watch this short coverage till the end so that we can be on the same page. Fafo is here with them. Let them embrace what they voted it for. Remember, the US-Iran war, United States of America was spending more than $1 billion every single day. Why is Trump cutting disability checks to save $2 billion a year. Calculate the maths and see what I have always been telling you. Trump doesn't care about his voters. He doesn't care about American citizens. He is only there to enrich his pockets and his billion-dollar dynasty. Let's watch and you will understand how SSI is getting scrapped away, and it is not a bother to Donald J. Trump's administration. Let's watch.
In this regime's latest example of how cruelty is always the point, they're trying to change SSI so that if a disabled person is getting help from their own family, they could lose their benefits because of it. I'm not even exaggerating. Like if you have a disabled kid and they live with you, or your parent can't survive on their own, so you take them in. That support can now be used as a reason to give them less. What are we even doing anymore? Because what's the alternative here? You're supposed to just not help your family when you see them in need? And don't even start with the there's no money excuses. There's always money when it comes to luxury projects, private travel, and taxpayer dollars magically ending up back in the pockets of the people in power. But the second it's disabled people, elderly people, children, now we're broke. Be serious. And I need y'all to clock this hypocrisy. Because the same people that won't shut up about family values are literally pushing policies that penalize families for taking care of each other. So which one is it? Because right now, if you're vulnerable, you're on your own. If your family helps you, we're going to punish you for it. And at some point, we all need to stop acting confused because it is always the same people getting hurt by all of these policies. That's not a bug, it's the design.
A proposal could cut disability checks for some of the poorest people in the country just for living with their family. We're talking about SSI, and that's Supplemental Security Income. And this is for people who are disabled and already struggling to get by. And now with the rule change, it comes down to one thing. What counts as help? If you live with your parents, your kids, or your relatives, and you share food or housing, the government could treat that as income now. And when they count it as income, your monthly check will drop. And we're not talking about small changes either. Some people could lose about a third of their benefits. That's $300 or more gone every single month. And others could lose their checks completely. A lot of people on SSI don't live that way by choice. They do it because they can't afford rent on their own. So the one thing keeping them afloat could now be the reason that they lose money. This would also roll back protections that were put in place more recently. Protections that stopped low-income households from being penalized like this. Estimates say around 400,000 people could be affected. So in other words, they're planning on penalizing survival. So this is a specific rule change that could quietly take money away from people who already almost have nothing.
So Trump is now wanting to cut benefits and support for 400,000 SSI recipients with Down syndrome, autism, dementia, and other disabilities. The Trump administration is working behind the scenes on a rule change that would deduct the value of a disabled adult's bedroom from their SSI allotment, even if the family members that they're living with are so poor that they qualify for food stamps, which is often the case because families who are caregivers for disabled family members are often forced into poverty due to the lack of assistance that's already even available by our government. So it's kind of a self-feeding system. But what this change really means is that Trump wants to slash benefits for the most low-income and financially unstable disabled Americans in our country. Quote, the likely SSI cut will affect not just younger adults with disabilities such as Down syndrome and severe autism who are still living at home with their low-income parents, but also older people with dementia or other health or financial problems who have had to move in with their adult children on tight budgets. All told, as many as 400,000 poor and disabled people and indigent older people across the United States could have their support cut or eliminated, according to a ProPublica analysis of actuarial figures from the Social Security Administration. End quote. So, to receive SSI as a disabled individual, you're already forced to be poor. So you cannot have more than $2,000 in countable assets. That's not even like liquid money in your bank account. $2,000 in assets. And you can't earn more than $994 a month in income, which is less than $1,000. I don't even know where you could live for that price. Not anywhere where I live. If you want to get married, they don't even bother to double that number. You can't have more than $3,000 in assets if you're a married couple. That's for the whole couple. It's disgraceful that this is where the Trump administration thinks that they need to cut further to save money. A ballroom, bombs, those are all necessary. The poorest of the poor, disabled Americans in our country is where they think they need to cut. Be so for real.
The Trump administration wants to cut Social Security benefits for nearly 400,000 of the most vulnerable Americans, and most people have no idea that this is happening. This is about SSI, Supplemental Security Income, money for low-income seniors and disabled Americans. 84% of people who receive it qualify because of a disability. These are not just people who can go out and get another job. Right now, if you're disabled and live with family, certain protections keep your benefits from getting slashed just because you share food or shelter with relatives. Trump's proposal wants to rip that protection away. Here's what that actually means. If a family member helps you out with groceries or a place to live, the government could now count that as income against you and cut your check. We're talking about benefits dropping from $994 a month down to around $663, a loss of over $300 a month for people already living at or below the poverty line. People who rely on every single dollar for rent, medication, food, transportation. The Social Security Administration's own estimates say 275,000 people would see their payments cut. Over 100,000 more could lose their benefits completely. And this is happening while the same administration spent $90 million on fireworks and fountains, while they're funding nearly $1 billion paint job for a reflecting pool. They have the money, they're choosing where it goes, and they're choosing fountains over disabled Americans' rent money. This is still just a proposal. It can be stopped with enough public pressure, but keep in mind that this is the wealthiest administration in modern history deciding that disabled and elderly Americans need to sacrifice more.
If you're still here with me, what do you have to say about this episode? It is something they were warned, they didn't listen, it fell on deaf ears. The statistics are saying that Democrats have a higher percentage of winning these midterm elections as opposed to Republican side, which between the two groups will be voting for. Not only disability checks have been stopped, Trump is scrapping away SNAP benefits, the ABT cards, of which they are supposed to help low-income earners in America. Why is Trump targeting the low class and the middle class? Why not focus on the rich class and this billion-dollar friends and family? He is there to enrich his pockets. He doesn't care about anyone. MAGA voters are panicking. They are in a freak-out mode, as we have seen in this video. After watching this short coverage, have you seen a black person, a black American, complaining about the current situation in America? It is only white Americans. They know exactly what they want. They want black American support, but black people have remained silent in this. They are not talking. It is something they are immune to. They have been in America for such a long time. They don't know America inside and out, and they can endure hardship. White Americans, on the other hand, voted to hurt black people. They're the ones who are facing the powerful moment. It is here with them, and they cannot escape Trump's blade. On the next episode, I'll continue showcasing to you how MAGA voters are living the MAGA cult, and how Trump continues to undermine each and every single American. As long as the deal on the table involves money and it wipes away American citizens, he will clearly take it. Sources are saying that he is planning to run for another presidential term. Will you vote in for Donald J. Trump if he decides to change the laws and constitution, limiting him to run for a presidential term? Let me know your response on the comment section below and let others know your opinion. The SSI have been scrapped. Disability checks have also been stopped. And if you are living with a person with disability, remember Trump will not pay you your checks. And it is not a surprise. It is something American citizens want. The MAGA voters, the MAGA fraternity, the MAGA cult. The midterm elections. Choose for a leader who will take care of your needs and wants. Choose for a leader who will bring back the disability checks. Choose for a leader who will bring back the SNAP benefits, the ABT cards, and will look into your interest regardless of your race, whether you're black, brown, or white. Thank you for staying with me till here right now. And if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting the subscribe icon below and follow for more facts, and I'll keep you more posted and updated on what the MAGA fraternity, the MAGA cult, keep on facing in their day-to-day activities. They want Trump's regime to end so that all the suffering and loss they are facing could end. Kamala Harris was right, and we have seen from the videos you just watched. Imagine 400,000 Americans who are suffering under disability. We have the autism people. We also have the mentally ill people. They are supposed to get the necessary treatment as other American citizens. It is not new. It is something you people wanted. Embrace what FAFO has for you and always follow black Americans' advice. When they tell you about something, follow that route. When they tell you to go the center route, follow that route. If they tell you to go left or right, follow what they tell you. They are always right, and they know America at the tip of their fingernails. Thank you for watching, family, and goodbye.